Welcome back to the CSP Elite Baseball Development Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Cressey, and this is the third go round of Pinch Hit Friday. And today I want to talk about the concept of narrow exercise selections. It's the start of the baseball offseason for a lot of players, so the concept of exercise selection has kind of been fresh in my mind. And I'm a big believer that narrow exercise selections make for impressive lifters, but less impressive athletes. So with our typical minor league baseball player, we may actually have time to get through 6 4-week programs over the course of an off season. So in 6 months, especially if we happen to have an athlete who's really genetically gifted to develop strength, we could get guys freaky strong on a few big lifts. That said, we choose not to. So why is that the case? Well, I think a narrow exercise selection can lead to some very impressive weight room performances on a few lifts. Maybe it's a squat, a bench press, a deadlift, a clean, something along those lines. This specificity can be great if you want to be a one-trick pony or a three-trick pony, like a power lifter, but I don't think it's nearly as helpful if you're an athlete who actually needs to change directions. These people need a rich proprioceptive environment, not just in the context of sport participation, but I think also in the weight room, particularly as we see more and more athletes who are unfortunately specializing in a single sport. So a few thoughts. First, I'd rather see an athlete with a more versatile strength portfolio. So in other words, give me an athlete who's 200 pounds himself, who can front squat in the mid 300s, deadlift in the mid 500s, do a Turkish get up with the 80, pounder, and do axial loaded single leg work in the mid 200s. And if you give me that, I'm going to show you a guy who has a great foundation to really move well and more safely. I think they're less likely to have a problem with not getting carryover from the weight room to their sport participation. With that said, these strength numbers aside, eventually your priority really needs to shift from just building strength to actually using that strength quickly. Simply chasing a number on one lift can quickly leave you unprepared in a particular movement or plane of motion, or in the context of creating more usable strength in a sport context. As an example, I out deadlift all of our professional baseball players, but the overwhelming majority of them can out broad jump me. They can run faster than I can. So, the question is who's using their force more efficiently? I'm a big believer in using things like Proteus, using force plates. These can tell us a lot just about how people live on that force velocity profile, both in the sagittal plane and the frontal and transverse planes. So these are important things to consider. It's not just how strong you are, but how well you're going to use it in athletic contexts. Additionally, if you do insist on a narrower main exercise selection, so maybe you want to squat and deadlift all off season and do your dumbbell bench presses with your baseball players, I think you've got to be really, really cognizant of offsetting that narrow exercise pool by incorporating more, variety in your warm-ups, your sprint and agility work, your assistance, work in the weight room. I think you have to have a lot more variety there if you're going to be very narrow with your main exercise selection. With that said, I do think narrow exercise selections, the concept of picking one or two big bang exercises, they do have a lot of benefit in beginning lifters and teenage athletes who need to build a solid foundation and awareness of just putting force into the ground. I honestly have no problem with sticking with the same 3 to 4 main exercises for 3 to 4 months strength in this population. Although you obviously do have to be sensitive to the fact that some of these athletes may get bored doing the same things over and over again. But in that case, maybe you just play around with rep scheme or subtle variations. So maybe, month 1, it's a trap bar deadlift for sets of 6. Maybe month 2, it's sets of, 4 to 5. Month 3, you do a trap bar deadlift versus bands or chains. Maybe month 4, you move to a low setting trap bar deadlift to add a little bit more amplitude to the movement. So, obviously we don't rigidly adhere to this, but it does give you a feel for how to add a little bit of variety without overhauling things and having to regroove a skill. I think one of the perks in dealing with novice athletes is seeing that steady linear progression over the course of a relatively long period of time. So you don't want to steal that benefit and not leverage how encouraging that can be for a young athlete. But once we start to get to more advanced athletes, I do think it's really important that we view the weight room not just as a place to get strong, but also to expose our athletes to a wide variety of stimuli and really build that rich proprioceptive environment for you. So I'm not sure if you agree, but that's just my perspective. Have a great weekend. This episode is brought to you by AG1, the most comprehensive NSF certified for sport daily nutritional supplement I've ever tried. With so many stressors in life, it can be difficult to maintain effective nutritional habits and give our bodies the nutrients they need to thrive. As a father of 3 young kids and a co-founder of multiple businesses in multiple states on top of still being an avid exerciser, I know that busy schedules can really take their toll on us. Whether it's poor sleep, exercise or life stressors, environmental factors, or simply not eating enough of the right foods, we can often wind up deficient nutritionally. This is where AG1 can really help. It's a game-changing nutritional insurance policy. They simplify the logistics of getting optimal nutrition on a daily basis by giving you just one thing with all the best things. That's why I use it daily, as do several of my family members, and we recommend it to a lot of our top athletes. One scoop of AG1 contains 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients that work together to fill the nutritional gaps in your diet to support energy, focus, digestion, and recovery. And this can all happen for less than $3 per day and without taking multiple products. While most nutritional supplements come to market and stay stagnant, AG1 continues to obsessively improve this one holistic formula based on the latest research, producing over 50 improvements in the last decade alone. They invest in the most absorbable and natural source of each ingredient and go above and beyond in third-party testing to ensure their customers continue to receive the highest quality and best tasting nutrition happen on the planet. Whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, it'll work for you, and it contains less than 1 gram of sugar per serving. They put 75 ingredients through the rigorous NSF certification test to come up with a safe formula that's trusted by some of the world's top athletes, including many of our own at Cressey Sports Performance. Right now, AG1 is giving our listeners a special offer of 10 free travel packets with their first purchase. Just head to drinkag1.com/Cressey and claim this special offer. These travel packets are perfect for supporting your immune system, energy, and gut health while you're traveling for games, training, or simply on the go. They can be great counterbalance to the less than ideal on-the-road food options that are out there for a lot of our traveling baseball players. So if you want to bridge the gap between deficient and optimal and give yourself the best chance of getting nutrient diversity, head to drinkag1.com/Cressey to get 10 free travel packets with your first purchase. Again, that's drinkag1.com/Cressey, Cressey. You won't regret it.